A good morning from sacred space at Titania's realm. The time is 10:52 a.m. on Sunday the 3rd of May 2026. I'm just sneaking in another story by Alice Munro because I'm going out this afternoon, early afternoon. So I'm already dressed and made up and prepared because this way it's I'm organised ahead of time. I like to be organised. Reduces some level of my preternatural, ever spiralling, consistent anxiety. It's a lovely day. It said there'd be no rain today. Now I sit here at clouds over looking threatening. So just when I've got the birdie boys out too, we thought we'd have a nice day in the garden. The weather's trying to get all ominous. Looks lovely behind me, but in front of me it's all murky. Right, we're not going to let the weather dampen our parade because I am Tanya Aarons and that's how I roll. I don't know why, but this brassiere always sticks out on one side. It's poorly made or something like that. It's going to annoy me because I'm trying to look all elegant and lovely today and my bra keeps bursting out all over. Oh, poor Mama T. Nothing's ever perfect at Sacred Space Titania's realm. Fortunately, we don't strive for perfection. We do actually. It's a bit of a lie. We strive for perfection, but we accept our flaws and limitations because, you know, there's not much you can do about it when you've got poorly designed brassieres or lopsided boobage. I don't think they're lopsided. Let me just check. No, it's not the boobs, it's the brassiere. You know, you pay a lot of money for these things, and I swear it's deliberate. They always kind of, especially with bras, all the women watching this video will know exactly what I'm talking about. There's always something not quite right with bras. It's either the wires poking you in places that shouldn't poke you, or they're lopsided, or the straps aren't right. I hate bras. If I had my way, I did do it for two years. I would never wear them again. But I used to flop about with very bad not broken, but very badly made dental hospital front teeth without a bra, shuffling and drooling on heavy psych meds. So we won't be doing that. We've pulled ourselves together from the gravel rash of the lowest parameters of societal exhortations, expectations, exclamations. We've ripped ourselves up by our bootstraps and we're soldiering on, people of Earth. It's a work in progress. Some days I'm sailing rather remarkably through turgid seas, like one of those Viking prows staring into a distant future horizon where everything is copacetic with my existence and zen. So today's story is titled Hateship, Friendship, Courtship, Loveship, Marriage. It's a long video, so it'll get broken up into 2 parts, no doubt. Why does it have a front page and the others didn't? Just curious about how they've thrown this book together. Yes, the other ones didn't have a front page. Maybe because we're nearing the middle of the book or something. Does it really matter in the broad scheme of things? No, it's just I noticed it. I notice things sometimes. Be glad when I notice things because it means I'm fully cognizant and aware. There were years when bombs could go off right next to me and I wouldn't have noticed it at all. That's not good, people of Earth. That was a zombie existence that no man, woman or child, government or corporation will ever make me go back to again. Kind of kept me alive, I suppose, in very dangerous times, but it wasn't really living. It wasn't really living at all. Now I'm living, I'm still struggling, but I'm doing it magnificently. The hero's journey, or in my case, the heroine's journey, it's been astonishing. It's been a bit astonishing. Right, here we go. We begin the story. Just keeping an eye on little Kermy, because he's so happy to be outside, aren't you, Kermy? Yes, Mama T. And little Bo this morning had pulled out 3 tail feathers. Don't know what that was a protest about, but he's busily preening and contemplating pulling out more, no doubt. But oh well, birdies do that. They get irritated by their feathers and they molt. Right, here we go. I know, I'm childlike sometimes. Let's begin the story. Years ago, before the train stopped running on so many of the branch lines, a woman with a high freckled forehead and a frizz of reddish hair came into the railway station and inquired about shipping furniture. The station agent often tried a little teasing with women, especially the plain ones who seemed to appreciate it. Furniture, he said, as if nobody had ever had such an idea before. Wow, now, what kind of furniture are we talking about? A dining room table and 6 chairs, a full bedroom suite, a sofa, a coffee table, end tables, a floor lamp, also a china cabinet, and a buffet. Whoa there! You mean a house full? Shouldn't count as that much, she said. There's no kitchen things and only enough for 1 bedroom. Her teeth were crowded to the front of her mouth as if they were ready for an argument. You'll be needing the truck, he said. That funny expression I just made, the algorithm will choose as a thumbnail, because they always pick the most absurd and ugly expressions I have for my thumbnails. So remind me to take a nice photo of me looking ordinary amidst the extraordinary, so I can change the ugly thumbnails they always make of me. Vanity, vanity, all is vanity. N'est-ce pas? You'll be needing the truck, he said. No, I want to send it on the train. It's going out west to Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan. Although it's spelt Saskatchewan with an E in it. Oh, my ear's playing up again. I'll be glad when my toothy troubles are terminated. Forthwith, ASAP. Don't know how much longer I can hold on. Looking fabulous as I do and reading stories of manic denial. Holding on remarkably well, don't you think? It helps that the swelling settled down. Dear goddess. Dear goddess. Right. She spoke to him in a loud voice as if he was deaf or stupid, and there was something wrong with the way she pronounced her words. An accent. He thought of Dutch. The Dutch were moving in around here. But she didn't have the heft of the Dutch women, or the nice pink skin, or the fair hair. She might have been under 40, but what did it matter? No beauty queen ever. He turned all business. First, you'll need the truck to get it here from wherever you got it, and we better see if it's a place in Saskatchewan where the train goes through. Otherwise, you'd have to arrange to get it picked up, say in Regina. It's Gdynia, she said. The train goes through. Gdynia, Gdynia, Gudna, I don't know. Don't like not knowing things. Not much I can do about it though. He took down a greasy covered directory that was hanging from a nail and asked how she would spell that. She helped herself to the pencil that was also on a string and wrote on a piece of paper from her purse, Gdynia. What kind of nationality would that be? She said she didn't know. He took back the pencil to follow from line to line. A lot of places out here, it's all Czechs or Hungarians or Ukrainians. Ukrainians, he said. It came to him as he said this, she might be one of those. But so what? He was only stating a fact. Here it is, all right. It's on the line. Yes, she said. I want to ship it Friday. Can you do that? We can ship it, but I can't promise what day it'll get there, he said. It depends on the priorities. Somebody going to be on the lookout for it when it comes in. Yes, it's a mixed train Friday, 2:18 p.m. Truck picks it up Friday morning. You live here in town? She nodded, writing down the address, 106 Exhibition Road. It was only recently that the houses in town had been numbered, and he couldn't picture the place, though he knew where Exhibition Road was. If she'd said the name Macaulay at that time, he might have taken more of an interest, and things might have turned out differently. There were new houses out there, built since the war, though they were called wartime houses. I live in one of those, built just after the war from returned servicemen that came back utterly traumatised and brutalised with shell shock or PTSD. It's a lovely little cottage though. The land it's on is lovely. It's had probably many residents since the first people that came back from the war, so there is that. And when I came here to inspect it to see if I wanted to live here, I heard the sound of children laughing, quite a few children giggling and chortling, and there were no children here, of course, so I knew it was a residue of either former residents or it was fairy. Anyway, after I moved in, some time after, I think I asked the neighbour, and he said that people that lived in this house were Colombian and had 6 children, which is amazing. I still sometimes dig up little tiny bits of plastic toys and such like. They had 6 children squeezed into 2 bedrooms each. 2 bedrooms, so it was 3 children per room. So they must have got granted a bigger house, and that's why they moved out. But, I'm glad for them that they got a better house. With 6 children, you need a big enough house. And it was perfect for myself and my 2 daughters when we moved in. But my daughters, of course, being in their early, one was 19 and 20 when they moved out. So I weren't here I think they were here for 3 years, and then they bolted. So what was I saying about that? Yes, when I inspected it, I heard the children's laughter, and I thought this will be a happy home for me, and I'll be safe and comfortable here, and by and large it has been. So I just sense energy around me, like people watching. I actually thought a bird had flown in. I did think it was the tawnies, but they're not there today. So here go the lorikeets. Anyway, that murky, ugly cloud that was so ominous has drifted away. So we don't have to worry about being rained on today, people of Earth. Pay when you ship, he told her. Also, I want a ticket for myself on the same train, Friday afternoon. Going same place. There is a lot of fluttering above my head. Let's see what's going on. It's just the crows, I think. Can't actually see them. Right. We heard them though, so they're there. Going same place? Yes. You can travel on the same train to Toronto, but then you have to wait for the transcontinental goes out 10:30 at night. You want sleeper or coach? Sleeper, you get a berth. Coach, you sit up in the day car. She said she would sit up. Wait in Sudbury for the Montreal train, but you won't get off there. They'll just shunt you around and hitch on the Montreal cars. Then on to Port Arthur and then to Kenora. You don't get off till Regina, and there you have to get off and catch the branch line train. Isn't it funny? I mentioned my friend Regina Rosa yesterday, and the next story has a town named Regina. Synchronicity there. Does it mean anything in the broad scheme of things? No, but I'm just staying conscious, people of Earth. She nodded as if he should just get on and give her the ticket. Slowing down, he said, "But I won't promise your furniture will arrive when you do. I wouldn't think it would get in till a day or 2 after. It's all the priorities. Somebody coming to meet you? Yes. Good, because it won't likely be much of a station. Towns out there, they're not like here. They're mostly pretty rudimentary affairs. Like my mad friend who wanted to take me to Alaska so she could be a midwife and I could be her housemaid, and we could rustle in big burly loggers. So are you out of your mind? Are you completely out of your mind? The cold alone would kill me. I'd merely get off the plane, take one breath and drop dead. Oh, I hadn't thought about that, she said. And what would I be doing housework every day? I don't even do my own fucking housework. Oh yeah, I forgot about that too. And what would I be doing with big, burly, rough and ready, wild Alaskan men in the wilderness out in some god-forsaken back of nowhere, back of beyond shithole where no women should really be safely participating in if you want to protect your assets? Oh, no, it'll be respectable. We'll set up house and we'll just go to bars and... Gail, I said. Gail, the cold alone will kill me. End of. I'm not that excited by the idea of meeting men in strange, isolated territories in the wilderness in 30-foot snow. I'm not that desperate and I'm not that fucking lonely, okay? Okay. She was bitterly disappointed. She'd mentioned it for a few times, hoping I would weaken. And I did like the idea of travelling to some remote place and just seeing the world and going somewhere different, though. That was exciting. But Alaska, people of Earth, Alaska. Me, who can't tolerate extreme heat and can't tolerate extreme cold, has to be kept all pert and privileged and some kind of reasonable equanimity. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous. But it's the equivalent of being sent to Siberia, isn't it? Maybe not so much nowadays with, modern contrivances, but by the gods. Alaska. I said, why would they need a midwife in feckin' Alaska? How many pregnant women are they going to have consorting around their loggers' camps? Oh, well, wives and girlfriends probably come out with them. There'll probably be quite a few. I could have quite a lucrative little profession going there. Ah, there's the rub, I said. There's always an angle, people of Earth. You just got to dig in deep sometimes. Find the angle. I wonder if she ever did go to Alaska. Found some other sucker with better lungs to go with her. You know what? I should do it. Just go one day, just to prove a point in summer, just to prove a point, just to finalise someone else's fucking fantasy. Like the fantasy she had, she said she'd always wanted to get married, she'd been married quite a few times. She said, the next time I get married, I want to be married by an Elvis impersonator in Las Vegas. I said, why an Elvis impersonator? Oh, I've got a thing about Elvis impersonators. I said, why would you have a thing about that? I said, don't you have a thing about firemen? I mean, is there any man with 2 legs and a pulse that you don't have a thing for, Gail? She kind of had a thing for me in a way. It was odd. Not that she admitted to it, but it got a bit odd. Anyway, I digress. You have to laugh. So I'm up at the casino and it was raining Elvis impersonators, which I kind of don't have a thing for and I always find kind of creepy. Anyway, I went over to the Irish Murphys, which in those days I went there for 2 years. So I was participating in their ribaldry and, merriment and wildness. And this particular evening, it was a Sunday evening actually, I was over there. I met this very interesting man, seemed very interested in me, that's for sure. I don't have very good skills at sussing out men. It's because of my childhood abuse. It's one of the things I've had to kind of improve on with the ageing process. But anyway, he seemed very keen and he came over and spoke to me and he was pleasant and reasonably charming and offered to buy me a drink, which I thought was generous. And so we got talking. he told me that he's actually an Elvis impersonator. So I can't think of anything worse. Men love it when you neg them, but I wasn't doing it to neg him. I'm not fond of Elvis impersonators. Anyway, long story short, we had this very brief but amusing encounter, and I explained to him that although I'm not keen on Elvis impersonators, my friend was mad for them, and but we were having some kind of one of our temporary Cold Wars where she would go off and sulk, probably because I wouldn't go to Alaska with her, you understand. So I said, you know, I don't normally like to wind up my friends because it can end friendships, and it's not a very sensible thing to do, but sometimes, just for the sake of heaven, you just have to kind of go there. He said, yeah, I reckon. He was very childlike, that man, very sweet and childlike, but also, you know, a Jack the lad and a womanising piece of shit and not serious. But anyway, he says to me, let's get a photo of me in my Elvis impersonating, you know, jumpsuit. He said, I've got the most fabulous car. It was a hearse. Shows me his vehicle. It was amazing. He'd customised it. The seats were purple with glitter and a kind of pearlescent leather. It was gobsmackingly divine, because you know how, look at me, he was the one, how I like glitter and shiny things and opulent leather and just artistic and beautiful creations. So I'm looking at this car. I'd fallen in love with this car, and I said to myself, one must not fall in love with a man based on he has an amazing car, because it's superficial and it will lead to pain, as it did. But I said to him, this is a fabulous car. Anyway, he dressed up. He showed me his jumpsuit. I said, for the love of God, that actually needs dry cleaning. It's filthy. He says, yeah, but you won't see it in the photo. He was just dying to get into his Elvis persona for me. He even ripped out his guitar and played Love Me Tender or something, and I'm just laughing at him the whole time because it was hilarious and you couldn't really take it seriously. But I liked him. He was a bit of mischief and whimsical frivolity and fun, and anyway, it didn't work out because, well, he figured out, I think, that I didn't have any money, you know, with my diamonds, my little diamond studs and, you know, my jewellery. He assumed that I had money, and when I didn't, he went on to the next victim. But I'm okay with that, you know. But we had 2 nights, actually. 2 nights, had a repeat performance of Loving Me Tenderly. And he was one of the last few sexual partners I had, because I was so disgusted with the whole thing, albeit it was fun and silly and nonsensical and fucking crazy. I was so disgusted with the thing that yet again I'd been played and not really chosen, and just kind of teased and tormented. I thought, fuck you. Anyway, I'm segueing because we sent a photo to my then friend Gail, and he was right. She went completely insane with envy. I went, why are you envious of this man? There's no future with this man. It was just a bit of a joke. I said, you always said you wanted to be married either to or married by an Elvis impersonator. And I go around stumbling around, you know, broken and dishevelled with my ass out of my pants, almost literally, dancing as hard as I can at the Irish Murphys and the Live Wire Bar and the Elephant, hoping to find one decent bloody man who's a bit of fun and quirky like me, but, you know, not a complete fucking arsehole. And I said, and I find someone, and you go out of your mind with envy. What's that even about? I said, nothing will come of it. It's the Elvis thing. You're living out my fantasy. I went, well, I wasn't trying to live out your fantasy. I'm not even into Elvis. Not really. I mean, he sings all right. I've got a teddy bear, Regina Rosa and I. We bought these teddies together at the same time. That actually plays Love Me Tender. And recently I made him a leather jumpsuit, just the front panels, because he got all scratched up from my cats used to knead him and tear him to pieces. My cats weren't fond of teddy bears that sang with Elvis's voice either. You should always listen to cats. They're very intuitive, clever people. Anyway, on with the story. She paid for the passenger ticket now from a roll of bills in a cloth bag in her purse, like an old lady. I like her style. Cash, people. Cash. Before they ruin us completely with digital ID, we'll pay cash. Like, excuse me, a little old anarchistic revolutionary lady. Except I won't be paying cash today because I haven't gone to the bank to get some cash out. Damn it. I love paying cash, particularly in pubs or bars, because they get such a frisson from it. It's delightful. Maybe I will stop off and get cash. I like to pay cash. Right. She counted her change too, but not the way an old lady would count it. She held it in her hands and flicked her eyes over it. But you could tell she didn't miss a penny. Then she turned away rudely without a goodbye. See you Friday, he called out. Does she owe him a goodbye? It's just kind of a transactional business arrangement. He's been paid. She's got her ticket. It's not like they're in some kind of relationship. I guess I come across as rude sometimes too. I don't always say goodbye either. Heartfelt, emotional proclamations of adoration often blow up in your face, so I tend to just act a bit, like I don't care and shake it all about, finish my dance and walk off. The performance art is over as soon as the band finishes playing. Could dance like the woman with the red shoes to my own death, and almost did a few times actually. But you gotta know when to walk away and keep your head high and your dignity in check. Exercise the power of the fuck off skis too, I might add. We don't want to get too rolled up because I'm going out to a musical afternoon, so I want to be copacetic and cool. Cool people are there. I'm going out with my lovely friends Robin and Peter and Tarina, so there'll be 4 of us, and oh, what fun we shall have. Tarina and I especially. I met Tarina from dancing at the Live Wire Bar. That's how we met. We like to have a good old dance, but I don't know if we'll dance today. But we like to have a few drinkies and people watch and just have fun. And Robin and Peter are the same. So we'll have a lovely time. Right, I'm manifesting a lovely time. Because attitude is everything, but of course I am anxious because going out in the world when you're the Tanya can be a bit odd. There's a lot of oddness last time we were there, so that better not be a repeat pattern, as I'll be shaking the place down in my characteristic wild woman ways. But that was just 2 people last time. The rest of the people were quite copacetic. And I did make friends with the pigeon. There was a pigeon watching me avidly because I had little Coco in my arms. It was sweet. I said to Tarina, don't worry, Tarina, if the people turn out to be obnoxious again, there's always the pigeon. And I burst out laughing. Everywhere I go, I make friends with the birds or the cats or dogs or whoever, whatever animal life is around. People, not so much. Been left to my own devices and struggled for too long to ever actually put trust in human beings. You should see my birds. They're both preening now, and the crows had a swim, and they're all fluffing about and preening. They're all very contented. Right, where were we? I'll see you Friday, he called out. She wore a long drab coat on this warm September day, also a pair of clunky laced up shoes and ankle socks. He was getting a coffee out of his thermos when she came back and rapped on the wicket. The furniture I'm sending, she said. It's all good furniture. It's like new. I wouldn't want it to get scratched or banged up or in any way damaged. I don't want it to smell like livestock either. Oh well, he said. The railway's pretty used to shipping things, and they don't use the same cars for shipping furniture they use for shipping pigs. I'm concerned that it gets there in just as good a shape as it leaves here. Well, you know, when you buy your furniture, it's in the store, right? But did you ever think how it got there? It wasn't made in the store, was it? No. It was made in some factory someplace, and it got shipped to the store, and that was done quite possibly by train. So that being the case, doesn't it stand to reason the railway knows how to look after it? He's got a valid point, you know. He has a valid point. She continued to look at him without a smile or any admission of her female foolishness. I hope so, she said. I hope they do. It was surprised after many moves and even migrating from New Zealand to Australia and back again, how much very valuable furniture and stuff they do manage to damage, they being movers and shakers and ships and trains and removalists and trucks. It's partly why I hate moving, and something precious always gets lost or damaged. You're very noisy, Mr. Crow, up there high up in the African tulip tree. Very vocal today. The station agent would have said without thinking about it that he knew everybody in town, which meant that he knew about half of them. And most of those who knew were the core people, the ones who really were in town, in the sense that they had not arrived yesterday and had no plans to move on. He did not know the woman who was going to Saskatchewan because she did not go to his church or teach his children in school or work in any store or restaurant or office that he went into. Nor was she married to any of the men he knew in the Elks or the Odd Fellows or the Lions Club or the Legion. I presume those are names of hotels, sporting teams. The Elks are probably some kind of hockey players or something like that, people are there. Right, where? A look at her left hand while she was getting the money out had told him, and he was not surprised, that she was not married to anybody. As if that's some kind of affliction, people of Earth. Take great pride in not being married to anybody, by all the gods. I married only once, and that was enough. With those shoes and ankle socks instead of stockings, and no hat or gloves in the afternoon, she might have been a farm woman. Some idiot just yelled out, "He would have liked to have made an honest woman out of you." I was always honest, always truthful, direct, if a little blunt, you understand? It takes an honest man to make an honest woman a wife. It takes somebody very, very special to turn me into a wife ever again. Perished, I thought. 31 years on my own. It'd be hard to cede my sovereignty to anything and anyone. Throw caution to the wind, like my mother did at 73, married that fucking useless con man. Dear goddess. With those shoes and ankle socks instead of stockings, and no hat or gloves in the afternoon, she might have been a farm woman. But she didn't have the hesitation they generally had, the embarrassment. Why would you be embarrassed to be a farm woman? There's no shame in being a farmer's woman or a woman with her own farm. I guess he means, the shyness that country people feel when they come to the city, thinking that somehow city people are better. When have you been to the live wire bar casino when the country folks come to town? Hilarious. She didn't have country manners. In fact, she had no manners at all. She had treated him as if he was an information machine. Besides, she had written a town address, Exhibition Road. The person she really reminded him of was a plainclothes nun he had seen on television talking about the missionary work she did somewhere in the jungle. Probably they had got out of their nun's clothes there because it made it easier for them to clamber around. This nun had smiled once in a while to show that her religion was supposed to make people happy. But most of the time, she looked out at her audience as if she believed that other people were mainly in the world for her to boss around. Indeed. Although the nuns I have befriended, they were a tad bossy, but they were very loving and kind to me. One nun I befriended, as a course I was doing for volunteer English tutoring, was very kind. She was there incognito, which was a bit odd. I said, "Why are you doing this?" She says, "I don't want them to treat me differently because I'm a nun." She wore plain clothes, you know. I said, "You know what, that kind of makes logical sense." I guessed she was a nun. She talked about having a driver, and she mentioned that her cook had made her the biscuits she brought in for morning tea. And I took one bite of the biscuits, because, you know, sweet tooth, and I announced in front of the whole group of people, "Who made these biscuits? For they are divine." And she did a little gasp and put her hand to her mouth and said, "My cook made them." And that was the second slip she made. So I looked at her and nodded, and everyone kind of looked. It was all over their head. And then finally I said to her, "May I ask," I said, You looked shocked when I mentioned that the biscuits were divine," which indeed they were. They were made by someone with absolute divine skills. They were sublime. They were delicious. She says, yes, but we're not allowed to, you know, have any gods before us, and there is only one God." And I said, "But aren't all sentient beings, in fact all life forms, an expression of the one?" "Oh," she said, "oh, well, yes, indeed." I looked at her, I said, "You, my dear, are a Catholic nun." She replied, "I am a Roman Catholic nun, to be exact." "Please don't tell anyone. I don't want them to know I'm here incognito. How did you guess?" "Oh, mentioning you had a driver, that you lived with many other people. And then the final clincher was when you were disturbed by me declaring the biscuits made by somebody divine." Which was the next best thing, since the cook probably was a nun too. Not necessarily though, but in service of the divine. That lady fell instantly in love with me, not in a sexual way or anything, you know, she wasn't, well, she could have been, if it really occurred to me. But no, it wasn't a sexual thing, but it was an instant kind of gnosis and a deep love that I had recognised her path without too many little hints dropped. And she invited me, we befriended each other, didn't go to each other's homes or anything. This was in the context of this course that went for a few months. She actually invited me. She said, this was not long after the terrorist attack, you know, in New York on September 11, 2001, wasn't it? So it was, I'll tell you what year it was. It was 2003. So it was still all a bit fresh in our minds. Anyway, she invited me to come with her. She said, "I want you to travel with me, Tanya. I have to go to Pakistan to an orphanage there that, you know, our convent operates or runs or oversees. And there's a little boy there that I've grown quite fond of because, you know, being a nun, I've never had children or grandchildren. And I'm going to see him, but I'm also going to be there for some months because I've got to oversee the running of the orphanage, make sure everything's, you know, being conducted properly. And I want to invite you to come with me." Another offer to go to some far-flung, exotic place. I was again, in this case, sorely tempted. I said, I'm sorry, sister. I can't afford the train ticket to the airport, never mind a flight to Pakistan and back. I said, how on earth would I afford that? She said, oh, but my dear, the church will pay. I said, the church pay for this Jewish girl to accompany you, one of their sisters? She said, well, they're paying for us. I mean, of course they're paying for you. You're in their employ. They have to pay for you. They're under no obligation to pay for me. You know what? I was really stupid. I should have gone with her. But I said to her, you know what I said to her? I said, sister, you know how forthright and blunt and direct I am, and how I guess things about people without too much information being relayed. Yes, I still can't believe you guessed I was a nun. That's why I want you with me. It'd be handy to have you with me, Tanya, because you're hyper-vigilant and aware and intelligent. I said, do you know what would happen to you with my hyper-vigilance and my anxiety and my hyperspatial awareness? What, she says. I'd bloody probably get us killed. It's Pakistan and it's filled with terrorists. And I'm Jewish. Don't particularly look Jewish, which I'm constantly reminded of by fellow Jews and anti-Semites. I said, but I am Jewish. And it would look very strange, a nun and a Reformed Jewish convert running around Pakistan, and any sign of trouble, I'd be liable to blurt something out. I said, and we'd both get shot in the face. Oh, she says, don't say that. I said, there's a reason why the Holy One, blessed be his name forever and ever, keeps me trapped in Brisbane, Australia, and I never get to go anywhere. Why is that, Tanya? I said, to keep me safe. I've always wanted to travel, but without the monetary backing and the fundage, simply can't do it. And she said, are you sure? I'm sure we would find a way to get the airfares paid for you, return to come with me to Pakistan. I didn't go. And part of the reason I didn't go was I was afraid to leave my little cottage here. Yes, I'd already moved in here, so it was in 2003. And I was afraid to throw caution to the wind and run off with a Roman Catholic nun on her mission. That wasn't the problem, her being a nun. It was where the mission might lead us to that could get me into all sorts of difficulties. And I having no family or people to rescue me if things went awry was didn't feel very safe. Right, there's my nun story. I've befriended 3 nuns in my lifetime, and one brief acquaintanceship with a priest that was invited to a Pesach Seder conducted by my friend John Bradley and his wife Nona. He's a very nice man too. It wasn't till much, much later when I started doing my ancestry that I discovered my father's great-grandfather? Yes, great-grandfather had been excommunicated from the Roman Catholic Church for being a bigamist, and no doubt as blunt and direct and sometimes not very subtle as I am. The gift of the gab that came from the Irish ancestry, no doubt. I got quite a shock because I used to ask my father when I was a child, what religion were you? Oh, I don't know. Your mother's Lutheran and I'm a spiritualist. What religion do you want us to be? I said, I don't know. I was always asking if we were Jewish because I decided when I was 6 years old that I wanted to be Jewish. very young age to decide that. It was brought about by the fact that in Sunday school at the Lutheran church, the minister was proclaiming about how, the Christians are the only ones going to heaven, and everyone is condemned to the fiery sulphur and brimstone pits of hell. And are there any questions? So little me put my hand up. Yes. What's your question, Tanya? What happens to the Jews, the Muslims, the Buddhists, the Shintos, the shamans, and anyone else who's not a Christian? I told you, they all go to hell. So what kind of heaven is it that's exclusive only to Christians? Must be a bit bloody boring. He looked at me. Had to think about it a little bit, didn't he? Kind of rocked his world a little bit. But I decided I want no part of any religion that only allows just people from their own religion to enter paradise, which at 6 years old, having already experienced 2 near deaths, I knew wasn't true anyway. You can't fool someone who's been to the other worlds and been brought back to life, people of Earth. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool the Tanya, except when it comes to sexuality and romance and love. Oh, have I been played for a merry bloody fool, but fuck you to those that thought it was okay to play those sick, perverted, evil, twisted games with my heart, mind, body and soul. Neshama. Right, it's enough about religion and nuns now. On we go. But I laughed when they thought that people were mainly there for her to boss around. One more thing Johanna meant to do, she had been putting off. She had to go into the dress shop called Milady's and buy herself an outfit. She'd never been inside that shop. When she had to buy anything like socks, she went to Callahan's men's, ladies and children's wear. She had lots of clothes inherited from Mrs. Villett's, things like this coat that would never wear out. And Sabitha, the girl she looked after, in Mr. Macaulay's house, just had a spot of rain land on me. Was showered, literally showering, with costly hand-me-downs from her cousins. Oh really, do you really need to do this right now on just such a lovely day? You just keep teasing me with water from the heavens. Move along, we're busy right now. Getting annoyed about this. It's happened a lot lately in recent days. I'm not attuned to the multiverse if I can't tell if it's going to rain or not. By the goddess. It's insulting to my attunement. What else am I attuned to, babies? Don't answer that question. In Milady's window there were 2 mannequins wearing suits with quite short skirts and boxy jackets. One suit was a rusty gold colour and the other a soft, deep green. Big gaudy paper maple leaves were scattered round the mannequin's feet and pasted here and there on the window. At the time of year when most people's concern was to rake up leaves and burn them, here they were the chosen thing. A sign written in flowing black script was stuck diagonally across the glass. It said, "The simple elegance the mood for fall. By fall, here in Australia, we refer to that as autumn. She opened the door and went inside. Right ahead of her, a full-length mirror showed her in Mrs. Villets's high-quality but shapeless long coat, with a few inches of lumpy bare legs above the ankle socks. They did that on purpose, of course. They set the mirror there so you could get a proper notion of your deficiencies right away. And then they hoped you would jump to the conclusion that you had to buy something to alter the picture. It's such a transparent trick that would have made her walk out if she had not come in determined, knowing what she had to get. Along one wall was a rack of evening dresses, all fit for belles of the ball, with their net and taffeta, their dreamy colours, and beyond them in a glass case, so no profane fingers could get at them, half a dozen wedding gowns, pure white froth or vanilla satin or ivory lace. My wedding dress was ivory. It was a beautiful dress. It was a dark day in hell, literally. My father-in-law had died 2 days before. A dark day in hell when I married his son. Yes, I was robbed even of the joys of being a young bride. Evil it really was. All of it. All of it. I've been overcompensating for that for the rest of my life, people of Earth. Oh, smallest violin, greatest orchestral or concerto, with cellos and maybe cymbals clanging as well. But I'm not a musician. What am I? A mover and a shaker, a shaman, and a lover of life. Anyway, or ivory lace, embroidered in silver beads or seed pearls. Tiny bodices, scalloped necklines, lavish skirts. Even when she was younger, she could never have contemplated such extravagance, not just in the matter of money, but in expectations, in the preposterous hope of transformation and bliss. It was 2 or 3 minutes before anybody came. Maybe they had a peephole and were eyeing her, thinking she wasn't their kind of customer, hoping she would go away. Are you chewing your perch, little boy? Why are you chewing your perch? Because I'm a birdie and I have the need to destroy something, Mama dear. Just be grateful it's not your lace top. This is true. I love it when my birds are happy. Just like I used to love it when my children were happy and playing and a bit rambunctious, wild out in the garden with all our guinea pigs and little turtles and cats and rabbits. And, oh, it was lovely. But the COVID vaccines put a veil of forgetfulness over their head. The loveliness we had together as a family made them forget who I am. their mother. We could vomit in a bucket for days over that one, but I'm fresh out of vomit. Right, speaking of that, I do need to get a drink of water. I'm going to turn you around, people of Earth, so you can see what the boys are doing while I go and get a drink of water because I'm thirsty and stuff. Right, up we go. Oh, rattle the decks. Rattle. What you doing, handsome boys? Are you being good? Are you my sweet little babies? Yes. Come here. Come here and follow. Right, I'm back. I heated up a muffin in the microwave, which is why it took a little bit longer. And we're back. I won't be reading for that much longer because I've got to put on shoes and, you know, finish off preparing for my outing today. But I baked muffins last night. Can't remember the last time I baked anything. Winter's coming and I'm wanting to feast, but that's extremely hot. Very, very hot. So I might have to let that cool down. Melted chocolate and muffin all over myself now. Get myself in a mess for my outing, won't I? It's what usually happens. Right, where were we? Ah, yes. Waiting to see if she was going to be served in the clothing shop, thinking that they were hoping she would just simply go away. She would not. She moved beyond the mirror's reflection, stepping from the linoleum by the door to a plushy rug. And at long last, the curtain at the back of the store opened, and out stepped Milady herself, dressed in a black suit with glittery buttons, high heels, thin ankles, girdle so tight her nylons rasped, the gold hair skinned back from her made-up face. In other words, she's happening in a far-out way, baby girls and baby boys. I thought I could try on the suit in the window, Johanna said in a rehearsed voice. The green one. Oh, that's a lovely suit, the woman said. The one in the window happens to be a size 10. And now you look to be maybe a 14? She rasped ahead of Johanna. Johanna or Johanna? Both. She rasped ahead of Johanna back to the part of the store where the ordinary clothes, the suits and daytime dresses were hung. You're in luck. 14 coming up. The first thing Johanna did was look at the price tag. Easily twice what she'd expected. She was not going to pretend otherwise. It's expensive, though. It's expensive enough. It's very fine wool. The woman monkeyed around till she found the label, then read off a description of the material that Johanna wasn't listening to, covered in crumbs, because she had caught at the hem to examine the workmanship. It feels as light as silk, but it wears like iron. You can see it's lined throughout. Lovely silk and rayon lining. You won't find it bagging in the seat and going out of shape the way the cheap suits do. Look at the velvet cuffs and collar and the little velvet buttons on the sleeve. I do love velvet, fine wool and beautifully made clothes. I see them. That's the kind of detail you pay for. You just do not get it otherwise. I love the velvet touch. It's only on the green one, you know. The apricot one doesn't have it, even though they're exactly the same price. Indeed, it was the velvet collar and cuffs that gave the suit, in Johanna's eyes, its subtle look of luxury and made her long to buy it. Or that she was not going to say so. I might as well go ahead and try it on. It was what she'd come prepared for after all. Clean underwear and fresh talcum powder under her arms. The woman, I'm just thinking about talcum powder getting all over the new clothes. Perished thought. Oh well. And also, wouldn't you put on clean underwear on every day anyway? Generally speaking. I'm being distracted by the story. The woman had enough sense to leave her alone in the bright cubicle. Just going to have a bit of bloody muffin because the muffin man. I don't know why. It must be, maybe I didn't stir the baking powder through the flour enough, or it's something to do with the flour. It's just not as nice as it could be. Tastes alright. Sorta. Kinda. I wonder what made it stodgy though. That's why I don't like baking. Too many variables of things that can go wrong. But I used dried blueberries in it, and they've turned out quite nice. But maybe they made it stodgy because they sucked out all the moisture out of the batter. Maybe. I'm very hungry today. I'm looking forward to getting a big bowl of chips when I'm at the Hotel Morrison. Big, massive bowl of chips. I'm dreaming of chips, people of Earth. Haven't had chips for a while. I've been good. Sorta, kinda. My version of good is not the same as everyone else's version of good when it comes to dietary things. I put walnuts in it, and they've given it quite a nice flavour and bit of crunch. Right. I'll carry on reading, people of Earth. You didn't come here to watch me eat muffins. Right, where were we? Blah, 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 blah. Where did I get distracted? Oh, by the talcum powder under the arms. Right. The woman had enough sense to leave her alone in the bright cubicle. Johanna avoided the glass like poison till she'd got the skirt straight and the jacket done up. At first she just looked at the suit. It was all right. The fit was all right. The skirt's shorter than what she was used to, but then what she was used to was not the style. There was no problem with the suit. The problem was with what stuck out of it. Her neck, and her face, and her hair, and her big hands, and thick legs. Thick legs are misfortunate. Oh, mine have gotten thicker as I've got fatter. Dear goddess. Clemmy's eating, Mama's eating, Bobo's musing. Just going to finish off this muffin because really, you know, I'll enjoy it while it's still warm. I can sense the excitement and the impending arrival of my friends Robin and Peter. They are lovely. They're really excited when they hang out with me, and it makes me feel very much loved and appreciated. Sweet. I'm excited to hang out with them too. And Tarina. I can actually feel the energy streaming through the front gate. It's delightful. And little Miss Coco, if they bring her, adores me. Right, enough savagery on my part. Look, that bloody bra's peeping out again. Honestly, it's annoying, isn't it? I might have to glue it down or sew it down for the day. It's driving me nuts. I want to go out looking all elegant and put together, and your underwear lets you down. Right. How are you getting on? Mind if I take a peek? Peek all you want to, Johanna thought. It's a case of a sow's ear, as you'll soon see. The woman tried looking from one side, then the other. Of course you'll need your nylons on and your heels. How does it feel? Comfortable? The suit feels fine, Johanna said. There's nothing the matter with the suit. Oh, bless. The woman's face changed in the mirror. She stopped smiling. She looked disappointed and tired, but kinder. Sometimes that's just the way it is. You never really know until you try something on. The thing is, she said, with a new, more moderate conviction growing in her voice, the thing is, you have a fine figure, but it's a strong figure. You have large bones, and what's the matter with that? Dinky little velvet-covered buttons are not for you. Don't bother with it anymore. Just take it off. But when Johanna had got down to her underwear, there was a tap and a hand through the curtain. Just slip this on, for the heck of it. A brown wool dress, lined, with a full skirt, gracefully gathered, 3/4 sleeves, and a plain round neckline, about as plain as you could get, except for a narrow gold belt. Not as expensive as the suit, but still the price seemed a lot when you considered all there was to it. At least the skirt was a more decent length, and the fabric made a noble swirl around her legs. She steeled herself and looked in the glass. This time, she didn't look as if she'd been stuck into the garment for a joke. The woman came and stood beside her and laughed, but with relief. "It's the colour of your eyes. You don't need to wear velvet. You've got velvet eyes." That was a kind of soft soaping Johanna would have felt bound to scoff at, except that at the moment, it's threatening to shower on us again, except that at the moment it seemed to be true. Her eyes were not large, and if asked to describe their colour, well, she would have said, "I guess they're a kind of brown." But now they look to be a really deep brown, soft and shining. It wasn't that she had suddenly started thinking she was pretty or anything, just that her eyes were a nice colour, if they had been a piece of cloth. "Now I bet you don't wear dress shoes very often," the woman said, "but if you had nylons on and just a minimum kind of pump, and I bet you don't wear jewellery, and you're quite right, you don't need to with that belt." What's wrong with jewellery? Mama T always wears jewellery. Jewellery is part of the outfit. It's accessories. It's important to wear jewellery. To cut off the sales spiel, Johanna said, "Well, I better take it off so you can wrap it up." She was sorry to lose the soft weight of the skirt and the discreet ribbon of gold around her waist. She had never in her life had the silly feeling of being enhanced by what she had put on herself. Once again, you should feel enhanced. You should feel pretty or glamorous or gorgeous. What's the point of clothes if they're not going to make you feel good, am I right? I'm right. I just hope it's for a special occasion, the woman called out as Johanna was hastening into her now dingy-looking regular clothes. "It'll likely be what I get married in," said Johanna. She was surprised at that coming out of her mouth. It wasn't a major error. The woman didn't know who she was and would probably not be talking to anybody who did know. Still, she had meant to keep absolutely quiet. She must have felt she owed this person something, that they'd been through the disaster of the green suit and the discovery of the brown dress together, and that was a bond, which was nonsense. The woman was in the business of selling clothes. She'd just succeeded in doing that. "Oh," the woman cried out. "Oh, that's wonderful." Well, it might be, Johanna thought, and then again, it might not. She might be marrying anybody. Some miserable farmer who wanted a workhorse around the place, or some wheezy old half-cripple looking for a nurse. This woman had no idea what kind of man she had lined up, and it wasn't any of her business anyway. "I can tell it's a love match," the woman said, just as if she had read these disgruntled thoughts. "That's why your eyes are shining in the mirror. I've wrapped it all in tissue paper. All you have to do is take it out and hang it up, and the material will fall out beautifully. Just give it a light press if you want, but you probably won't even need to do that." And then there was the business of handing over the money. They both pretended not to look, but both did. "It's worth it," the woman said. "You only get married the once." "Well, that's not always strictly true." "In my case, it'll be true," Johanna said. Her face was hotly flushed because marriage had not in fact been mentioned, not even in the last letter. She had revealed to this woman what she was counting on, and that had perhaps been an unlucky thing to do. "Where did you meet him?" said the woman, still in that tone of wistful gaiety. "What was your first date?" "Through family," Johanna said truthfully. She wasn't meaning to say any more, but heard herself go on. "The Western Fair in London." "The Western Fair," the woman said. "In London?" She could have been saying the Castle Ball. "We had his daughter and her friend with us," said Johanna, thinking in a way it would have been more accurate to say that he and Sabitha and Edith had her, Johanna, with them. "Well, I can say my day has not been wasted. I provided the dress for somebody to be a happy bride in. That's enough to justify my existence." The woman tied a narrow pink ribbon around the dress box, making a big unnecessary bow, then gave it a wicked snip with the scissors. "I'm here all day," she said, "and sometimes I just wonder what I think I'm doing. I ask myself, what do you think you're doing here? I put up a new display in the window, and I do this and that to entice the people in. But there are days when I do not see one soul come in that door. I know people think these clothes are too expensive, but they're good. They're good clothes. If you want the quality, you have to pay the price." "They must come in when they want something like those," said Johanna, looking towards the evening dresses. "Where else could they go?" "That's just it. They don't. They go to the city. That's where they go. They'll drive 50 miles, 100 miles, never mind the gas, and tell themselves that way they get something better than I've got here. And they haven't. Not better quality, not better selection, nothing. Just that they'd be ashamed to say they bought their wedding outfits in town. Or they'll come in and try something on. and say they have to think about it. I'll be back, they say, and I think, oh yes, I know what that means. It means they'll try to find the same thing cheaper in London or Kitchener, and even if it isn't cheaper, they'll buy it there once they've driven all that way and got sick of looking. There's that bloody bra peeping out. There's special fabric tape I think you can buy in lingerie shops. I might try and get something for that. It's driving me nuts. It's too late now when I'm going out this afternoon. But I've got to do something about that. It's annoying me. I don't like being annoyed. Never mind. I need to buy a kind of a little glue so I can glue on my little sequins. Couldn't do it because got no glue. Special little glue you buy in the, cosmetics shop. Cosmetic Plus, I think they're called. Wonder if I could use just ordinary glue. Might run everywhere and make me look awful. So no. Just had a mad idea of putting super glue on, but that's so toxic and it wouldn't be good having that near my eye, people of Earth. I'm not that silly, thank the goddess for that. But yeah, just got to work things out. I've got to improve. Got to improve. I've got to glue that bloody bra down. Might put a little dash of super glue on that actually. Be alright, might damage the fabric though. Might melt the fabric. I've got glue dots I bought the other day for paper. I wonder if that will hold the bra down. That's an idea. A tiny piece of double-sided tape. I have to act quickly if I'm going to do it before we go out. Right. Spirit just told me to say, I am more than my wardrobe malfunctions, people of Earth. Aren't they cute? Winding me up. I don't know, she said. Maybe if I was a local person it would make a difference. It's very cliquey here, I find. You're not local, are you? Johanna said, no. Don't you find it cliquey? Cliquey. Spelt C-L-E-E-K-Y. Hard for an outsider to break in is what I mean. I'm used to being on my own, Johanna said. But you found somebody. You won't be on your own anymore, and isn't that lovely? Some days I think how grand it would be to be married and stay at home. Of course, I used to be married and I worked anyway. Ah, well. Maybe the man in the moon will walk in here and fall in love with me, and then I'll be all set. Right, let's just see how long the next bit is. Long. So I might just break off there, people of Earth, because there are things to do and people to see. And I have to bring the birdies back inside. I'm not sure what the time is. I'm sure we've got plenty of time. But on the off chance, to limit my anxiety potentiates, I have to wax on, wax off. And I do think I'm going to try and glue this down somehow. so it's not irksome. All right, love to you all. Have a beautiful day wherever you are in the space-time continuum. Blessed be from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. Bye for now.